And welcome back to another Pivot podcast. So glad you could join us today. My name is Tracy, and I am once again joined with my amazing co-host, Mr. Dan Jansen. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome. And today's episode is going to be a fantastic one for the entire month of February, really. So we took Mike Puckett, who's one of our listeners to the Pivot podcast, and we met with him to do a full 2-hour coaching session. So over the next 4 weeks, for the episodes we're releasing, this is going to be a breakdown of real coaching from myself and you, Tracy, with Mike. We're going to dive into his experience in trading. We're going to cover his trading plan and progress from there as the month goes on. So very excited about this episode. And we also have something that I think you might want to introduce that we mentioned in January, and it's time to put out some details on it. So we have that contest. You want to get a little bit more into the real life trading pivot contest?
Yeah, absolutely. So every month, what we're going to do is we're going to present a challenge to you. And you need to complete the challenge. We'll give you a deadline for completing that challenge. And with each submission, we're going to draw a name. And we will provide feedback on whatever you submitted. And then from there, that name gets put into a final draw for the end of the year. And that final draw, what's the prize, Dan?
We, just like you guys are about to witness throughout the month of February, we have the 2-hour coaching that we're doing live on air. You guys get to be in the hot seat. So for whoever wins the overall contest at the end of the year, one of you guys will get the chance and opportunity for a free 2-hour coaching session with myself and Tracy. And we will look to dissect your plan, the strategy, the mentality, and look to increase the P&L going forward from there. So I'm loving the idea. I'm loving this contest. I think you guys are going to be excited about it too, and we want to see all the submissions come into this trading.
Absolutely. And for this month, our first trading challenge for you is to actually complete a trading plan. That's going to be part 1 of this challenge. And you can find all of the details on how to create a trading plan in the next few episodes. Plus, if you want to take a look at the reallifetrading.com website, we also have examples of trading plans or a sample trading plan that you can start with if you don't know how to do one. But pay attention to the episodes because we go through a lot of detail of what should be included and how you can configure it all up. The second part, Dan, why don't you introduce the second part?
The second part is we want to know your why. So you'll hear us ask the blatant, blunt question of what's your why of trading. It's an extremely important thing to have. So along with submitting the day trading plan, we want you to also, with that email attached to the same email so we don't get confused, but your why as to why you trade, why you wake up every day, why you want to be a part of the markets, and what the real reason is for you to be trading. So we need to know the why, and then we want to see your trading plan built out as well. And you guys could submit that over to either Dan at reallifetrading.com or Tracy at reallifetrading.com. Either one of us will be able to hold that one, enter you into the competition. I'm excited for this. This is going to be awesome for everybody, and we're going to grow, learn together. It's going to be exciting.
Absolutely. And I'll throw links in the comments below so that you know exactly which emails to send to. And this needs to be in before the end of March. So that's the deadline for this challenge. Stay tuned to future episodes for further challenges. But as for now, let's dive into part 1. All right. So Mike, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how long you've been trading, where you got started, how you got started kind of thing, and then we'll kind of go from there. How's that sound?
Oh, that sounds great. So,
perfect.
I didn't really get started into at least taking the classes until around June of this past year, so 2021. And funny story, just on vacation with the family, and we have a very large family, talking to my cousin who had just quit his job, sold his house, and started trading. And now their family travels the world. And it was so intriguing to me that I just wanted to get part of that. I didn't think for a second I'd ever be successful enough to be able just to do what he did, just sell everything and make that commitment. But he made it work, and he made it sound great to me. And I thought, well, this could be a great second income, which would turn into a first income. And kind of went from there. I kind of asked him for some advice, and he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do you one better." And he sent me a link for real life trading, and he says, "Take these classes, and after you take these classes, you will know what you need to do in order to start trading." I did, and I went home. I got back home and started taking the classes. I did the entire beginner's course in one weekend. And then I took it again about a month later just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Then I, of course, took the intermediate course. Then I thought, I know what I'm doing. I went in and started practicing, and practicing was working about 40% of the time I was winning. So not very good rates, but according to the beginner's course, 40%, you're still making just a little bit of money if you use the 2.4 R's. And got brave one day, put some real money on a trade and won. And according to my trading plan, I win and I follow my plan, I reward myself, just like Jeremy taught. And my goal was, if I won, I was going to get a real life trading t-shirt, and I did. And that was the last time I won. And the rest of them, I guess I thought I knew more than I did, and I've just been struggling ever since. So I gave up the real money, went back to paper money, just trying to, I guess, get back on track, figure out where I went wrong. And here I am. I still haven't figured it out. So I'm hoping I can get some help through you guys.
Awesome. And just a little background of how we met you, Mike. For all the listeners out there, we do take suggestions. We do take ideas. We take emails. So Mike actually sent us an email this is probably about a month ago, something like that, maybe even a couple of weeks ago. And he was just saying, hey, it would be really cool to if we could kind of hear like how you guys would do a coaching or something like that. And we're like, Mike, you available? You wanna hop on? We'll give you a coaching session, and then I think for you there should be some value, and for the listeners just kind of evaluating their own plans and everything. It just made sense. So we're glad to have you in. And I mean the fact that you found real life trading and took the first step, that's a huge plus. That's something that a lot of people won't even get to. I mean, they might go back trade, they might, try it out for a little bit, but you're here, you're stuck to it. Whether you're back trading or paper trading for fake money, you get back into it for real money. The time, it's all about timing. Education itself, no matter what you do, there's got to be some kind of education. There's going to be a time frame to learning. I don't know if the podcast, we recorded it last week, but we had Jeremy on, and he said, look, it takes about 4 years to really understand the market, to really start making money in the market. And 6 years, you really start making money, right? So it's a journey, and the fact that you can see a little bit further out in the future and understand, hey, today's not today. I'm going to just show up and make $1 million, but I'm going to get there. Like that's huge. So you're already taking a step in the right direction. And are you currently working full time?
Yes, I certainly am, and in a position where I'm the sole income
Gotcha.
under my family. So I'm not in a position where I can just cash in all my chips here and get straight into trading. At least I'll figure out what I'm doing anyway.
Gotcha. And so with just to go over your scheduling, if you're going to be more day trading or swing trading, with your job, are you able to day trade the market, or are you primarily swing trading?
Primarily swing trading. The day trading moves too fast for me. Okay. I've watched videos online of people doing it, and I mean, they just go so fast. I'm lost watching them because nobody shows you the steps to take to be able to buy and sell that quickly. And I haven't taken, of course, the advanced courses here yet. But that's my goal. So I can swing trade, and I come back to my office about once an hour, check my computer. If I see something that's intriguing, I go ahead and maybe make a little move on it just to see what will happen, or just watch it to see what will happen. If sort of my plan, I guess, if it looks good in my plan.
Right. Gotcha. And the question that I ask everybody in my mentor groups, or if I'm doing coaching, the first question I ask anybody is why? What is your why for trading?
Well, first thing, it's fascinating to me. Second, I don't want to work a 9 to 5 the rest of my life, or at least till retirement. I've done real well putting money away for the future, as far as 401ks and stuff like that. But I don't want to have to depend on that. And I don't want to live, I can pay my bills with just this job. But I want more than that. I do want to travel when I want to travel. I don't want to, I'm not going to sell everything and just go do the traveling around the world, but they're just, I would create my own destiny at this point. I'm not answering to the people above me.
Gotcha. Yep. So really financial freedom and to have the freedom of time.
Yeah.
Right. Which I mean, money is money, but time is the most valuable asset, right? So the time is why I personally trade. I mean, just to have the availability, flexibility to do whatever I want when I want. That to me is more important than probably anything. Because unfortunately, I mean, we could make money consistently in the market, but we can never get time back, right? So for me, back in the day when I was working for somebody, that was the choice for me that led to I need to start to figure this market out, because I was cowboying in the beginning, right? I was just taking trades. I'd win some, feel like a champion, lose some, feel like a loser, but not really understand the details of it. And that's how I stumbled upon real life trading. I eventually found it, studied, took the courses, and then just practiced and just did it day in, day out. And for me, the means, it was the means to the end for me. So the goal for me at the end was, yeah, I could do this full time, right? I'll have all the benefits that you just mentioned, be able to travel, be able to I mean, right now, and I mean, hopefully everything's good at work and there's no issues, but at the end of the day, it's somebody else that's feeding you, right? Where if they have something that happens at work, not specifically yours, but a lot of times company could downsize, they lose a big account, whatever the case. And now for you, I mean, the family solely depends on you for the money and things like that. That was a situation for me, wasn't really willing to put myself into, right? I like to at least control my own financial destiny, depending on where, I don't want to be at the mercy of somebody else. No matter how great of a job you do, there's outside external forces. And to me, I just couldn't do that. So I think we're very similar in the same sense of why we're looking to trade. And a lot of people, because some people come in and they go, yeah, I just want to make $1 million. Like, for what? What are you gonna do with $1 million? Like, the money is used, the money's a tool, but what you're actually trying to achieve. So the first thing I would do, if you don't already, print out a goal as far as, like, not money wise, but a goal as far as what you want to do with the money, right? So if you're like, hey, I want to retire, I mean, you could love work and not want to leave, but say I want to retire in 5 years. Put that down, write that down as a goal. I want to take the family on a trip to somewhere very specific. So just put the details down. And before you open the markets every day, instead of looking at the futures, is it up, is it down? Look at what your goal is, right? Because a lot of times, I think Tracy could attest to this, but a lot of times the people that we're coaching, like, eventually something starts to click with the actual market. They start to understand the bars, the volume, what the sentiment is, and their trade setups are actually pretty decent, but they're still losing money. And a lot of times it's over trading, and a lot of times it's forcing trades. So if there's a day in the market that doesn't fit your plan, those same traders are like, I'm day traders. I gotta be in the market, or I'm swing trading. I gotta be in something all the time for me to make money. Realistically, it's waiting for your moment, waiting for your shot, and then executing that play that fits into your plan. And if you're consistent with that, and you're looking at your goals every single day and understanding, like, okay, my goal is this, and I'm positive for the day, it's a lot easier to walk away from the computer, because you already have in your mind, I achieved what I was going to do just to make money. Not I need a $3,000 a day, $5,000 a day, $100 a day, whatever the number is, but you're already making progress to your actual goal, right? And I think that helps people to really visualize and understand what they're doing has a purpose in the markets, and it helps to not take those trades where, like, you later in the day you're like, yeah, I shouldn't have taken this. Like, why was I in on this trade, right? And also, I know you said you're looking to based on one sentence that you said I'll check it every hour or come back every couple hours. If there's something that I like, I'll just see what happens. You'll have more of a defined reason as to why you're taking it, and reasons why you think something should happen. Doesn't mean it's going to, no, but at least you're not just taking a trade because you just looked at the computer and just so happens at that moment a trade set up. right? It's
Right.
more of, when it comes to day trading, it comes to more of just being in front of the computer and not doing anything. Wait for your setups to happen. Same thing with day trading, with swing trading. You're really just waiting for your setups to come in, right? So it's not so much yeah, it looks low enough, so I think I'm going to get in and just kind of see what happens. I know that's not exactly what you meant by it, but a lot of people will be like, all right, Tesla's down at 926 right now, which is the actual price. It was at $1,200, $1,300 not too long ago. So I could just buy it here and we'll see if it goes up, right? And it doesn't. And now instead of selling or having their stops in place, they're just tumbling down, down, down. And now you're really trapped and you're like, you're almost numb to the pain of losing. You're like, all right, eventually it'll come back, or I'll just throw more money into it, or whatever the case. Or worst case, you get that little notice in the broker saying, margin call, we got to either sell some shares or you got to deposit more money, or whatever the case. And that's not a situation I think anybody wants to deal with. So goal one is to really understand your why. And like I said, before, I have it posted right here on my wall. Before the market opens, I'll take a look at that every day, just to remind myself, refresh myself, and really sink myself and sink myself into the moment of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I think that will help just initial progress. And I know Tracy will probably get a little bit more into the plan and trading and things like that. But everything kind of revolves around that why, right? So if you have a detailed, specific, people call it vision boards, whatever the case is, very specific. This is why I'm trading. This is why I'm in front of the computer. The markets are fun, but same thing. If you don't know when to walk away at a blackjack table, you could be up a lot of money and still lose everything, right? So you have to be very, very disciplined in that. Tracy, do you have a follow-up into that portion of it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I completely agree. And one of the reasons being trading, the actual technical aspects of trading is actually quite easy to learn. It's the rest of it that becomes the biggest challenge, and having that why helps keep you emotionally and mentally focused on what your goal is. So that's pretty much what I would add to that. Otherwise, if we're ready to move on, I have a couple things that I wanted to say regarding what you originally said with your story of how you were trading and kind of how things have been progressing. My first question to you would be, because I know you have a trading plan because you already said it, but how long did you back trade that trading plan before you started trading with real money?
Well, confession time. I didn't back trade a single time before I did the first one. And
Okay.
when I won, I thought this is easy. And then when it didn't, when I lost that, I went back to just doing practicing and no more real money there for a little while. And I have a very small account. Like I said, I am the only income for the house. So I put just a little bit in there just to see if what I'm doing is working. And once I can figure it out, then I can put more in there. And I hear some people on the show saying, well, I have small accounts, but their small accounts are $5,000. Mine's nowhere near $5,000. But until I figure it out, I didn't want to put that kind of money in there.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's quite all right. It doesn't matter how big or small your account is, it's all scalable. So,
yeah. And I figured out where my biggest, I guess, mistake was. And no matter how many times it was mentioned in the beginner's course about keeping a journal, I didn't.
Yep.
And then I'd go back and like, well, I don't remember why I did this or any of that. And then getting with my cousin, he said, you've got to have a journal and you have to log every single thing that you do with that account. And he helped me get started with that. And I've only put money back in once or twice, and not a lot, but it's, I haven't won any. I still got a couple of open trades, but they might make $20 or $30 here and there or not. So.
Okay. All right. So you didn't back trade your plan. How many practice trades have you made since you made your first live trade and you've gone back to basically practicing?
Hundreds.
Hundreds? Okay.
Hundreds, but I didn't, I may not have done them right because they worked when I back traded them, but then when I went back to live paper trading, it didn't work. So I don't know if I made a mistake there.
Okay. So these are hundreds of live live paper trading or hundreds of back trading?
Back trading.
Okay. All right. Now, when
I got into paper trading recently.
Gotcha. Okay. So when you back trade, are you like What's your plan like? Does it have specific rules, or are they pretty gray as far as, where your entries, exits are, that kind of thing?
Now when I do it, I'm following I put it in the journal, even if it's a practice trade.
Right.
Before I was doing the math and doing the 2.4. I would stick to it with the exception of if it started to move up during the back trading process, and I started to, I was green, I would move my stop up and therefore move my target up. And then maybe that's why I was making a mistake, but on back trading, it was working. And it would be more than 2.4R when it was all over, or if I lost it, it would not be a full R. And then, when I put it in live trade, it just didn't work the same way. So,
yeah, are you trading a specific setup? Are you looking for something specific in the market?
I was doing two different things. One, hammer candles, which I know that you guys love those too. And then I was following along with Matt's Momo strategy.
Okay.
And so that's only two I follow.
Okay. All right.
So I have, sorry to interrupt, Tracy, but I have a question. So I know you said you went in, you did a real money trade, and then you took some more real money trades and then lost, and then you stopped trading real money.
Correct.
How many trade was it? You won one and then lost one and then stopped? Was it a couple losses in a row?
It was about 4 or 5 losses in a row. And,
okay.
It just brought me back down to my original amount of money that I deposited into my broker.
Okay.
I didn't want to go below that.
Would you say you're afraid of losing?
Yes. I know I've got to work on the mental part of this.
Gotcha.
And, yeah, but I'm very afraid of losing.
Okay. That would be something throughout this coaching session that we're going to work on. The loss part of it, right? You said you have a small account, which to everybody, that's all perspective, like what a small account could be for them. If you were to lose the entire account tomorrow, how much would your life change?
0. I only put the money in there that I could afford to lose right now.
Okay.
It's not affecting me.
So what you said you're afraid of losing, but if you do lose it, you're not really affected. What are you really afraid of?
Well, I don't want to quit this. I enjoyed this so much that I think that if I lost that, it would be enough to say, this is something that you're just not going to be able to figure out.
Okay.
And it would make me want to quit or something. And I know by listening to the previous podcast, 90-something% of the new traders quit. I don't want to be one of those quitters. I want to be one of the ones that y'all talk about in the future. Of course, it might be 10 years from now, but
it could be 6 months from now. We'll see.
It
We
could.
have to put a time frame on it. But yeah, so two things. I mean, one, if the reason why the fear aspect is so appropriate. So just going through that last setup where you were back trading and then paper trading, and you're like, my back trading, providing that the setups are exactly the same and roughly the same thing you would do in back trading, you're still doing paper trading and you're not just kind of coming in and changing things up. But when you're back trading, you have the candles are not real time, right? So if you're on a 3-minute chart or a 5-minute chart or an hourly chart, and you're swing trading, so it could be a daily chart, that's a full day of data going into that one candle, right? So when you hit next on that back trade, you're just seeing that candle develop. Like you can see it move on TradingView and things like that. But emotionally, you're not investing the same amount of time for you to start to say, I think I'm wrong on this trade. Maybe I should get out. If you're fearful in losing on trades, you will lose on trades. It's going to be very difficult to win, because what happens is you're more than likely to take a full R loss on a trade. So let's say you set up a trade on Tesla and you have your entry, your stop, and your R is, let's say it's $30, right? For right now. And like Tracy said, everything's scalable. So at one time in the future, it might be $1,000 for the R, right? As long as you keep progressing. But if you're afraid at $30, you're going to be terrified at $1,000, right? So you have to just keep with the progression. And what happens is if you are back trading, you're going $930 is a good entry on Tesla. And I think $900 is my stop point. and you're giving it time to develop, right? You don't have the emotion of having to wait all that time. You're just going next, next, next. And you're seeing that plan actually works. But then when the market's actually open, now you actually have to bear the punishment of having so much time to really start to second guess. And if you're afraid that trade's going to lose, 9 times out of 10, you're going to either move stops way too quickly. So you said, I think the setup was that you're trying to get 2.4 Rs on a swing trade, which is fine. But then you're moving your stop once it starts to go green. Where I would say probably wait for a new pivot if you're not waiting for the pivots, which means that you're going to have to stop being fearful in the market, because you could get and I know we're on the podcast, so there's no screens or anything. So we're showing the charting right now, but let's say you get into a trade, it starts to go up. What in the stock market goes straight up? Nothing, right? There's going to be a point where those people are starting to, who bought at the very bottom, they're now making money. They're going to start to sell. That's going to bring the price down a little bit. And then you're going to get the buyers to come back in. If you're waiting till after that certain point to move stops, that's a more accurate placement, because now you know if that pivot breaks, the bears are back in control if you're going bullish on the trade. So, but if you're moving your stops just because your account's green, probably that trade hasn't actually came back for any type of retest yet. And now you're aggressively moving stops so that you don't lose on that trade. But nothing fundamentally changes from when you set up that initial, I'm getting in at 930 and getting out at $900. You were willing to risk a full R. The only thing that's changed is the fact that you started to make a little money and now you just don't want to give it back. But nothing from the time you're still risking the same amount of money the entire time. So it comes down to, it's hard, but it comes down to having the patience to just let the trades play out. Because when you're back trading and you're seeing that strategy is working, probably the main difference is that now you're a little overly aggressive moving stops in a live market.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so in this example that you used, and say I got in past like 930, and my stop was at 9, then I'd be at what, 1,000, close to 1,000 for my target. If it got up to about 960, I would just move my stop up to the 930 so that I wouldn't lose that R. But at the same time, I'd also move my target up the same amount. And then even when it dropped down, I wasn't losing money in my back trading, but the fear kicks in when it's real money. When you're back trading, I have nothing to worry about. I mean,
so here's the thing: when number one, when you're trading and you're moving your stop without a plan and fear is involved, a lot of times you're moving to the stop to a place that doesn't make sense. That's one of the reasons why when you're trading with real money, you end up getting wicked out, you end up getting stopped out, it just doesn't make sense, because most traders that are trading with fear don't understand the market well enough or understand their system well enough to place their stops in an appropriate location or understand where the trade is no longer working. So one of the things that I like to have, or I encourage all my students to do, first of all, is in your trading plan, you need to have a stop management system, whatever that might be. So an example for me is that I use a typical support resistance, 2 levels of support and resistance between my entries and my exits. And I use a 10 EMA. So my rules basically state that if I'm long on something, I can't move my stop unless I get a close below the 10 EMA. Once I get a close below the 10 EMA, then I'm able to move my stop to a place that makes sense, either a pivot or below one of the support levels, not just below that candle. It's not out of fear. It's okay, this is losing a little bit of its momentum. Now is my opportunity to move my stop up. That's plain and simple. Now, when I go and back trade that builds my confidence in that system that helps fight that fear of losing money that comes into place when you're trading real money, because you've practiced it. You know how it works. You have confidence in it. And that enables you to hit the markets running and going, okay, I can do this. I've done it a million times. It's repeatable. This is exactly what I did, and this is the reason why I did it. Right?
Right.
Do you have a stop management system in your trading plan?
I do not.
Okay. So that would be one thing that I would encourage you to do, is add that component into your trading plan. So I actually have 5 parts of my trading plan that I ask all my students to have. The first part is the commitment. And what I ask for is a 1 to 3 month commitment to that trading plan. And what that means is once you've back traded the plan, you can put it live into trading real money, but you commit to not deviating from that plan for 1 month to 3 months. And that specific date is written in the plan. So you're not able to deviate from that trading plan. You have to commit to it and give it that 1 to 3 months, whatever you decide to do, give it that chance to work. Because a lot of other problems that we run into is a trader will back trade it, they have the confidence, and they start, and all of a sudden they hit the market at the wrong time, and they're going to end up a couple losses in a row, and then they start tweaking their plan instead of giving the plan the time that it needs to actually work. And so that's why I say the commitment part. The second is the setup. So explain what you're looking for. So, it could be checklist. I'm looking for a hammer candle at a support level with a close above the support and whatever it might be, and above a certain EMA. Who knows what the rules are? Those are up to you, whatever your setup is. And then where do you enter? You enter above the hammer and where are you putting your stop? I'm going to put my stop with 2 levels of support between the entry and the stop. Very clear, very repeatable, very understandable. I know exactly what I'm doing. The next component is my management. So how am I going to manage the trade? Where am I going to be taking partials? When am I going to be exiting? When am I moving my stop? These are all components that I can have pre-planned. So when it happens, I'm not stuck like a deer in the headlights going, what do I do? And panicking. I have a plan. I know. And when I back trade it, I can back trade those specific rules again. So I know, number one, how does it perform? I have a specific number that tells me how it performs. I know what my average win loss is. I know all of those things. I have all of that in my journal because I've back traded and I've logged every single trade that I've taken in that back trading session. So again, these are all helpful things that are going to help you as a trader know where you are and how you're performing. The fourth component is an accountability. So what do you do when you don't follow your rules, and what do you do when you do follow your rules? I think it's very important to have both, not just a negative side. And then the fifth component, which is the general rules. These are rules on, how many R's are you willing to put at risk for a swing trade for a year, a month, a day, etc. So if you lose so many R's in a day, you quit trading. If you lose so many R's in a week, you'd quit trading for the week. Just little guidelines that keep you kind of on track, but slow you down when maybe your progress isn't working quite as well, right? Make you take a step back.
Does your trading plan work with every ticker, or is it different by?
It depends on what you've back traded. So I have some systems that I've only back traded on 1 or 2 stocks, and that's all I trade them with. Now, there's no reason why you can't back trade some of the other stocks and see, okay, is it consistent? But there's some setups that maybe only work with certain stocks. For the most part, I think that if you get enough practice with different stocks, you're going to get to know how it feels and say, yep, no, I can move this into other tickers as well. It's all in the back trading.
You'll start to find your team too. So you'll be trading some stocks without even knowing it. You're going to find yourself just kind of trading those more and more, something that you kind of drawn to. And that's typically because you're finding you have your plan. And as you're trading different random stocks, you keep going back to this particular 1 or 2 or 3, because just your success rate is strong on those stocks, right? So without you kind of even knowing it, you're trying to find, you do start to develop stocks that you do like. And typically you like them because they work with your plan, and you're seeing a little bit more success rates on those. But I would also say too, for beginner traders or people just trying to come into the market, instead of looking at, I don't even know how many, Tracy might know, I don't know how many stocks are actually listed in the stock market. I couldn't tell you, but instead of looking at every single stock out there, develop 20, 25 that you like, and either do this. So either have a certain number, like 20, 25 stocks, 30 stocks, have a certain setup that you're looking for. So the candles have to be a certain way. The volume has to be a certain way. If you're looking for the candlestick, the hammer, like you said before, look for those hammers on those stocks like that are in your basket. then you could trade any of those stocks that you want, or have one stock, but 3 different setups on it, right? So like three different styles of trading. So maybe one's you're looking for a hammer, maybe another setup is a double bottom, and maybe the third is a bullish engulfing candle, whatever the case is. But now wait for that stock to put in any of those 3 type of setups. This way, you're really learning the personality of that stock. But again, you're not trading this as soon as the bell rings in the morning, or if you're swing trading, you're not overly aggressive jumping in too early, too late, whatever the case, and you're just able to focus a certain strategy on a certain stock. Or if you're looking for one type of setup, you have a bunch of different, I would say have a bunch of different stocks that you could apply that setup to. But like Tracy said, I would go back, and if you're going to say, I like PayPal, I like Square, I like Roblox, I like Delta, whatever the case, you should have some time dedicated in your week. I would say at least 2 hours a week to back trade. I'm sure everybody's got time, they could cut down on Netflix or whatever the case, but if you could fit in 2 hours a week, I think that's good. And especially being somebody coming into the market, have as much time as you could. Like when I was literally back trading about 10 hours a week, just because the more you back trade, the quicker your progression will be.
So that was an intense first 30 minutes. I mean, we got to know Mike, got to know what his why was, what his reasons were, and what his experience so far in trading has been. Dan, what do we got to look for next time?
Mike's an incredible person. Absolutely incredible. So appreciate Mike for coming on to the Pivot Podcast. Next week, we go a little bit further into the trading plan, trading strategies a little bit. So stay tuned for the next one. You guys do not want to miss it. It's going to get very, very interesting, very good from here on out as well. Thank you guys all for joining us each and every week on the Pivot Podcast. Tracy, it's a pleasure as always for hosting with you. Until next time.